Welcome here to AM Excellence 91. I apologize for that little blip. My connection was going bad. Hope we're back to normal. So this is AM Excellence 91. It is 6:30 in the AM on Friday, November 18th. Sorry about that notice. I'm going to share this video on my personal page as always. And as always, you have my appreciation for every share, every tag that you do. I know there are some people who are really loyal with that, and I sincerely appreciate it. Joe and Derek, you are two of them. So it's pretty neat. Yesterday I had the opportunity to speak in the Lehigh Valley at a student athlete athletic conference. It's called the EPCSAC Council, Student Athlete Character Council, and it was a really neat opportunity because it was an audience full of driven, ambitious, excellence-seeking young people. So anytime I have the opportunity to speak to an audience like that, it is a pretty awesome experience. And to be honest, those of you who are continually watching AM Excellence are those people. So it's almost in effect that I have that opportunity on a daily basis to talk to the audience that I am after, because for you to view on a regular basis, that means you are dedicated to something great. You're dedicated to pursuing something bigger and better than average, than normal. So we're reading the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the most successful, best books ever written. It's talking about this power of thought. Think and grow rich. So the literalness of this book is you think and then you grow rich. So it's the power of thought. Now, what we've talked about is just the power of thought. This idea is nothing if it's not backed by emotion, if it's not backed by faith, and then ultimately if it's not backed by action. Because if it's not backed by action, it's nothing. A dream without a plan is just a dream. It will never come to fruition. And yesterday, the last couple of days, we've been talking about this idea of knowledge, specialized knowledge versus general knowledge, and how they can play as an asset in your journey. And today, the title of today's video touches on imagination. Plant the seed with imagination. So I grew up, I was never an imaginative person. I'm not creative. I'm not artistic. I always say this, but I'm very, 1 + 1 is 2, black and white. You train hard, you win or lose, period. There's no abstract thought. There's no creativity in my mind. So this was an interesting chapter. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk about this idea. The author says, I am also trying to emphasize another point, namely that both success and failure are largely the results of habit. Success and failure are largely the result of habit. And he goes on to talk about thought habit. So not just the habits that you physically do every day, but the things that you think. What is the first thing that you do every morning? Probably check your phone. What thought habit is in place because you check your phone? Does your stomach sink because you see an email from your boss? Does your heart flutter because you get a text message from the special someone that you want to get a text message from? The physical habit of checking your phone then impacts your thought habit. And one thought habit leads to another thought habit, and then you find yourself either thinking yourself into success or thinking yourself into failure. That's why I'm so in my life that I'm adamant. I don't dive into my text messages and emails until after I read. Most times it's not until after this video, but at least until after I read, because it's almost like I take control of my thought habits. I set my tone for the day, and then I dive into that other stuff with that kind of armor, with that success-minded backpack already on me. And there's a really awesome book out there. I know several of you have commented on reading some of the books that I've talked about, but there's a book by Charles Duhigg called The Power of Habit. And it really restructures your mind on how habits work, and it'll cause you to be a consultant of your own habits on a daily basis. What do I do? Why do I get a coffee every morning? Do I stop at McDonald's and get a breakfast sandwich every morning? Do I go to work and for 5 minutes I talk with my coworkers and we basically just talk smack on the other coworkers, and then I go to my desk and then I look up on the internet my favorite sitcom? And those are habits. Those are the things you do on a daily basis without thinking, that are either bringing you towards your goals or bringing you away from your goals. So I want to introduce this chapter with this idea of habit and how it is so powerful, not just physical habits, but actually thought habits as well. Thought habits come from those physical habits. I also talk a lot about the power of association, surrounding yourself with the best. In the talk I gave yesterday to those student athletes, my last element is surroundings. And I stressed to them the importance of, just like osmosis, and I had one of the students define osmosis, but it's has something to do with a semi-permeable membrane, but you're absorbing everything around you on a daily basis. There is no way around it. So it's important to surround yourself with the best. That's why you watch AM Excellence. I'm not calling myself the best. I'm saying the people who watch this, the messages that I'm sharing revolves around this concept of the best. You can call it the best, you can call it excellence, you can call it success, you can call it drive, you can call it whatever you want, but it's this idea that I want to be better. And he tells a story in the book, but he says, I have not the slightest doubt that Dan Halpin, of whom the story was, his close association with the greatest football coach America ever knew, he's talking about Knute Rockne, planted in his mind the same brand of desire to excel, which made the Notre Dame football team world famous. So he's saying that this average guy, he was actually a trainer on the Notre Dame football team, but he's saying this guy, this average student trainer who went on to do big things, of which he talks about in the book, he says, I have no doubt that his burning desire to succeed came from being around Knute Rockne, came from being around the mindset of a champion. So as you continue, once we hang up this call video here in 10 minutes, you have a choice. With whom are you going to surround yourself? What habits are you going to repeatedly do over and over and over in your life? Because as I said before, they're going to bring you towards your goals or they're going to bring you away from your goals. My friend of whom I talked about, Dave Beard, he informed me of this saying that leaders are repeaters. Leaders are repeaters. And what does that mean? That means that there is a system. My system are the 5 elements of excellence: vision, value, success, accountability, and surroundings. There is a system, and you'll hear me talk about that system over and over and over and over again. Leaders are repeaters. Find what works for you and stick to it. There's another, just kind of add on to that. He says, believe, and I'm talking to you by way of the author, believe that close association with one who refuses to compromise with circumstances he does not like is an asset that can never be measured in terms of money. Man, that is an awesome sentence. Believe that close association with one who refuses to compromise with circumstances he does not like. So by associating yourself with someone who refuses to accept circumstances he does not like, your decision to associate with those people who have a fighter's mindset, who say, I will not compromise with how this is right now because I want it that way. He says, being with those people is an asset that can never be measured in terms of money. It is the power of association. It is everything I represent, surrounding yourself with the best. To be, you have to surround yourself with people who are. And then we get into this idea about the imagination, and he breaks the imagination down into two different types of imagination. He says we have a synthetic imagination, and a synthetic imagination is all of the information, all of the life experience, all of the data, all of the knowledge that is in your mind. Your synthetic imagination is the ability to reorder, reorganize, restructure that to produce something great, produce something productive. Creative imagination is that thing that I lacked in my life. The creative imagination is like a Steve Jobs, a visionary who has, a gut or an instinct or an abstract thought. That's creative imagination. I don't have that, and it's okay to not have that. So don't think that you are darned if you don't have it. But he goes on to talk about this creative and this synthetic, and it was surprising me, but he placed more importance on the synthetic imagination in this instance of Thinking and Growing Rich. So you don't have to want to start a business. You don't have to want $1 million. There's a gap by virtue of the fact that you're watching these videos. There's a desire to improve yourself in some area, whatever area it is. And if you want to comment and let me know what area that is, I'd love to hear it, and we can spark conversation on that. But there is a gap. So when I talk about synthetic imagination or creative imagination, I'm not saying you have to put all these things together to go start a business or build a widget, right? Or create a widget. I'm not saying that at all. But you have to restructure your thought patterns. You have to restructure your knowledge, your experience. If it's to lose weight, you have to restructure all that stuff to come up with a plan, an executable plan to lose weight. If it's to get a promotion, you have to figure out a way to restructure everything in your head, everything that you possess, to present yourself in a way that someone will give you that promotion. So that imagination, I said plant the seed with imagination. You have an idea. So use one of those two concepts, creative imagination or synthetic imagination, to put it into action. Because without action, it's nothing. You're going to sit on it, and you're going to be one of those people who does accept the circumstances. This is another neat idea. So he talks about energy, and it touches on what John Gordon said, the energy bus. Leaders are repeaters. I'm reading from the most successful speakers and thought leaders in the world ever in history. So you're hearing the same concepts. I'm reading the same concepts. That means they're true. It's not just me, Spaniard, telling you. It's me experiencing and then me receiving it from many different sources. But he says desire is thought impulse. Okay, so desire is thought impulse. Thought impulses are forms of energy. I think we can all agree on that. When you begin with a thought impulse, desire to accumulate money, you are drafting into your service the same stuff that nature used in creating this earth. So earth was created, however you believe it was created, by energy. The author is saying your desire, your thought, is energy. It is the same substance by which this world, this earth was created. So there is power. Back to the definition, the point of this book, Think and Grow Rich. You're thinking it, that is a thought, that is energy, and let's go back to the energy bus again. Your heart has electromagnetic field. Your brain has electromagnetic field. This is science. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I'm taking their word for it because these are highly respected, valuable books. So understand the power of that thought, but you've got to back it with action, back it with knowledge. Maybe one or two more points to touch on here before he just goes on to talk about this idea of I know what I want with. So he goes on to talk about this idea, of this energy and of this thought habit. And he says this, and this is so true, that talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is essentially whatever you're looking for, you will find. If you're looking for a reason to not do something, you're going to find 5 acquaintances or friends in your life who are going to tell you not to do it. If you're looking for 5 reasons to do something, you're going to find 5 people or 5 friends who are going to encourage you to do something. Again, because you're watching this video, I can comfortably say you are that person. You're looking for a reason to do something. These videos are one of those reasons. So whatever it is that you're looking for, you're going to find. And he stresses this idea of these thought habits that we have and that we create in your mind, they're reinforced. So the more that you not just think positively, but surround yourself with favorable people, favorable podcasts, favorable music, favorable television, there is valuable television, favorable documentaries, the more that you surround yourself with those things, the more your thought habits are going to develop into positive thought habits. I was listening to an interview, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in yesterday's video, but I say I developed self-confidence through action. The reason I was not afraid or feared in the UFC, the reason that I did not fear my opponent in the UFC was because I worked so dang hard. Because my whole life revolved around one purpose. That was it. One purpose. That was it. One purpose. My actions, the music, the things I consumed, it was dedicated to winning in the UFC. There was no room for a lack of self-confidence or fear. The interview that I referenced yesterday, he said you hypnotize yourself into belief. You hypnotize. You don't have time. Put your energy into something that you're truly shooting for. There's that much less brain energy to worry or spend time on things that aren't helping you. So that, my friends, we've been getting a lot of comments here. I'm really appreciated. I really appreciate that, and I'll dive into them here. I'll dive into them here in a minute. I was going to say, we have a small, whatever, my daughter, I don't know if any of you have kids or can inform me of this, but ever since the time change, my daughter is getting up at 6:15 instead of 7:15, and I'm really hoping that she catches on to the fact that she should get up at 7:15. So if there's any tricks of the trade there, please let me know that. So anyway, Carpe Diem, fight well. Keep in mind, at AMX 100, I'm going to be releasing, launching, whatever you want to call it, the next level of AM excellence. So I'm creating a platform. I'm creating a group for it's not going to break the bank financially either, but what it's going to do is it's going to up this experience to not just talk about it, but to be about it. Very simple, very straightforward, but I'll be working on that in the next 9 days and then launching it at AMX 100. So if you're interested in taking these concepts and not just hearing about it, but being about it, then I encourage you to keep following along, especially at AMX 100. Carpe Diem, fight well, embrace the uncomfortability, and I will see you mañana a las 6:30. See you tomorrow morning, 6:30. Carpe Diem, fight well.